Hey, GM, everybody. Good morning, day after the ball. Let's see, so my camera might be lagging. Let me shut off my AI here. Okay, GM, let me check and see, make sure we're coming through on the different streams on YouTube. When I get enough TikTok, been spending them over there. So GMG positive last night. I've been here for 15 years in crypto. It's a little bit about was here in the United States. Have much interest in the market, but I am here to talk about, and I'm not going to mess looking. This is just going to slow. Let's see. Take a look over on other. Make sure we're coming in live over there. Let's see how we're doing there. GM, everyone. What do we got here? Okay, yeah, it looks like we're live over there. Let me double check. Turn down the volume. GM, everyone over there on X. I've been doing this for a couple of about, I don't know, it's about my third week of doing the opening bell crypto. I have been doing a live X Spaces GM Bitcoin morning show, which comes in at starts at 11 to 12 a.m. every day. Been doing that for 4 years now. So this is just a little about some of the same content, but wanted to hit a few different platforms, can show you graphs, things like that. So that's kind of what we got going on here. So anyway, I didn't check YouTube. It was taking too long. This party started here. First off, we are negative. Now down points. Now we have minutes till the market starts. So I'm trying to get here. I'm trying to start every morning at 9. Sometimes getting the thumbnails and all the titles and everything ready for takes a little longer. But basically, what I want to do is I want to look what the price and other crypto price. Also, I do work for my job. I do run a fund full time in crypto, so I'm up 5-6 hours for this show anyway. So I've already kind of been looking at stuff. So I'm kind of trying to bring what happened when you were sleeping, what's going to affect the market. We'll do our best, right? We'll do our best to figuring out where this market. Sometimes it's hard. So, Jim, Dogular, GM, man, coming from YouTube, man. Appreciate you. I'm brand new on YouTube, so appreciate everyone over there. Oh, says it sounds a bit choppy. You know what? Might be my microphone. Might have to get a new cord, maybe a new microphone. Let me move it a little closer. I hope that's a little bit better. Yeah, I'll get this microphone as close as I can without falling it over. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Might be, like I said, I have a little bit. I travel with this microphone sometimes, and I think I might have messed up the cord and or the microphone. So hopefully that's a little bit better. But anyway, Nasdaq's looking negative. We're down about a third. It looks to open. Dow, I won't pull them all up because we'll come back when the market actually opens. But Dow Jones looking to open up about down 0.11, and S&P futures down about 0.16. So that's how we're looking right now. Like I say, we'll come back and check right after the market opens. Bitcoin here. Let's just kind of go down. Let's just kind of go down here. Bitcoin. We'll break it down more after the market. We're down 3.7% of the day. Down a little bit. We were holding around 71 all weekend and stuff, and then just kind of had this bleed out as the futures. Ethereum 2016, it's down 5 all day, and Solana is really taking a beating. It seems like we're down 5%, 0.7 all the way down to 83.79. If we look at the daily chart for Bitcoin here, yeah, we were all the way up to 72 was our high. We were whole 70, 71. Pretty good there. It sounds a little better now. Got the microphone closer to my mouth. I will go get a new cord today, see if that fixed it, listen back over. But thanks for letting me know. Hopefully being a little closer to my mouth will help a little bit. But listen, let's talk about a few things. And like I say, then we'll come back and try and wrap things up before I have to jump on my other show. Some of the news happening today. Bunch of people over there on X, follow me, GM, everybody. Watch out for this week. Quite a few things happening, but Wednesday, we've got the delayed jobs report coming out. And then Friday, we have the first CPI, January CPI inflation data. So both of those things could affect a potential rate cut or not, or just could affect things, right? Obviously, if jobs come in too strong, that could, the Fed has two mandates, unemployment and interest rates. So if the unemployment is looking too good or jobs looking too strong, could be a problem. If inflation is too high, that's a problem. So we sometimes balance these. So we'll talk later. We have a report. Very little chance we have the next rate cut. Fed meeting is in March. We're not looking to it anyway. I've got a slide on that, but and a couple other things to look out for. We've got earnings still this week. Bigger ones are that might affect showing about the traditional market and stocks. It's just really how it affects the crypto market. Coca-Cola, got McDonald's, maybe Bitcoin, and we've got Coinbase happening. But so anyway, keep an eye out for those things. Nothing, I wouldn't say anything is just earth-shattering right now, but those are the things that might affect what we see this week. Obviously Super Bowl's over. Congratulations to Seattle. I didn't even watch it, to be honest with you. It's just gotten way too political. Look, I was a political science major, pre-law in college. I studied political science, but I don't like politics. I only talk about them how we need to. But yeah, the Super Bowl, congratulations, Seattle, second Super Bowl they've ever won, I believe. So appreciate that. My dad was pretty good friends with the owner of the Seattle Seahawks back in the day, but I don't know if that's the same owner today. But one of the things, some of the controversy there, especially if you're outside of the United States, if you're here, you already know it. A lot of controversy over the halftime show. Look, one thing we have to talk about and we have to realize is, and like I say, if you're in the United States, you already realize very divided right now, right? Very divided on politics and a lot of other stuff. And so, the NFL, I do believe the NFL is trying to reach out globally and stuff, trying to be more like how basketball is maybe, but kind of getting away, some of the people who are just, first off, those of us who are just there to watch football game, forget about everything else. Good luck with that, right? That's causing some of the back and forth, right? Just want to watch some sports, forget about everything else and all this politics brought into it. The halftime show. So once again, I didn't watch it. Bad Bunny. Don't know much about Bad Bunny. Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico is basically the 51st state, right? Maybe it's a Commonwealth, whatever, but basically they are Americans. For the most part, but anyway, but they do speak Spanish, their first language, and some English over there, but primarily Spanish. So I guess the whole thing was in Spanish. I don't know. Some people hated it. Some people liked it. Is what it is. But it was all in Spanish. And so, like I say, but it seemed overall the message was pretty inclusive. But like I said, I didn't see it. But I'm just pointing it out, not because I really care, but just because these, the divisiveness right now in the United States is going to affect things because it brings in uncertainty, political uncertainty. No uncertainty is good for the market, especially political uncertainty as well. So what happened is they actually had an alternative. Oh, no, that's not it. They actually had an alternative one. Let's see, was that it or did I skip it? No, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't keep the slide. Anyway, Yeah. Anyway, suffice to say, there was an alternative one, brought in about 25 million viewers, more Kid Rock, Brent Gilbert, more what maybe some of us Americans would feel like is more, what we expect from the Super Bowl. But it is what it is. But once again, kind of comes back to this whole political stuff, right? Which I don't like in sports, to be honest with you. But we got to keep an eye on it and know that's it's creating a very like I say, very divided type environment, which isn't good. And with midterms coming up, so what happens is there's in between the presidential elections every 4 years, there'll be midterm elections every 2 years, and those are coming up this November. And so that's why it's just all one of my reasons believing we'll hit all-time high is because I need to scoot a little closer to the mic. Hopefully that helps. It's coming across okay so you guys can hear me. Anyway, I would say that we just Trump's going to move heaven and earth and make the economy as good, give away all the free money he can, do everything he can to win the election, and the other side they're going to do everything they can to get in the red. That's just politics 101, right? Is what it is. But something we need to keep an eye on. Interesting thing you saw on the thumbnail, Elon, or you will if you're watching this on the recording, Elon Musk explained, so SpaceX should be Mars. Musk explained the pivot makes sense because moon launches can happen every 10 days with a 2-day trip compared to Mars, which probably what? Let me see. Months-long trip, I'd assume. Let me see. I didn't open it. Enabling 10 days, 26-month on Mars, 26-month window, and then 6-month journey. So enabling quick testing. Anyway, bottom line is he's coming out with we'll start in 5 to 6 years. We'll be done in parallel with the moon, but the moon will be the initial focus. So we've always talked about, it's part of the reasons he's doing SpaceX, part of the reason he's doing robots, part of the reasons, no doubt, he's got the Boring Company so they can dig tunnels, manufacture over there. I know there's a lot of, you can do solar over there and transmit energy better. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, I love Elon, what he's doing. But a lot of people are like, oh, I knew the moon was bullshit, Mars rather. But anyway, it makes sense. You can, every 10 days, you can launch a rocket to the moon. Takes you 2 days to get there, as opposed to the other, which is, every like 26 months and 6 months to get there. So anyway, interesting. And it is what it is. Hit a couple more news things and then we'll talk about, we'll go check with the market. Another thing going on is the Worldwide Olympics happening, I believe, over in Italy. Once again, I'm not watching them. I used to be a diehard Olympics. I did the decathlon when I was a kid. My dream, I was a huge Bruce Jenner fan. He had won the Olympics when I was a real little kid. And now, of course, Caitlyn Jenner, famously, father of Kendall and her sister, whatever her name is. Anyway, the Kardashians. Anyway, or Jenners, whatever. But yeah, so once again, the politics creeping in there. You have 2 or 3 of the freestyle skiers saying they're split with what's happening with ice and all the controversy back here. Of course, I bashed on him a little bit. I get it. You should speak your mind. But when you're representing a country, much like in war, right? You might be over there getting killed or killing someone. If you're representing the country, my opinion is you should be a little more, you're there to represent the company, not necessarily yourself. But anyway, everyone feels differently. Once again, more of the divide, more of the problems. Once again, I'm not watching the Olympics. I'm not a huge sports fan anyway, outside of UFC, but I always did. I'll tell you, growing up, very patriotic, always watched the Olympics, always watched the Super Bowl. I didn't watch either of them, and I blame it on the politics. So, but to each your own. You can, it's free country, do it. You say what you want. But then again, people are free to boycott the Olympics, which is what they're talking about, or boycotting their sponsors, things like that. So anyway, it is what it is. Like I say, I don't have much stomach for it, but we definitely have to talk about it because it's still something that's going on. On the good news, even with the big dip we had the other day down to, 60 million strategy, Michael Saylor. I did a little piece on it, on a little short on it, and kind of was explaining it to people on TikTok, whatnot. Strategy acquired another 1,142 Bitcoin for $90 million at 78,815. So Saylor rarely buys the dip, right? In other words, we always have the opportunity to buy less than Saylor. He's typically not, he's buying OTC off the market, doing these deals. And I don't think he's too worried about buying the absolute Pico bottom. And we probably a lesson here. Also, people calling for, I heard someone calling today for $25,000 Bitcoin. And true, we did wick down to 60. There was a lot of buying, but we could bleed down. We could slowly bleed down farther and whatnot. But anyway, keep in mind that Saylor's buying. He's helping buoy stuff up. As long as he can raise money, he's going to keep going up. There has been, and I may have mentioned on a few of my shows, there has been some talk that a lot of people feel like potentially what happened is with Saylor and all his buying and whatnot, that he, some of these DATs or these companies and Tom Lee with Ethereum, maybe what's happening is that they are, maybe we were in more of a bear market than we realized, but because they were consistently buying, they were holding it up. So kind of changed our perspective of the 4-year cycle and whatnot. But anyway, the market's been open. Let's hit a couple more news things, and then we'll look. The market has been open for 3 minutes. Fear and greed, 14. Over the week or last week, we got all the way down to 5, which I think has only happened like a dozen times in the history of Bitcoin. I mean, to put in perspective, FTX was like 15. 1010 was like 10, and then we got down to 5. So this is pretty extreme fear. I like extreme fear. I like to trade extreme fear. It's one of my favorite macro indicators. You've heard me say before, the old adage from Warren Buffett: be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. One of my other favorites, Baron Rothschild in the 1800s, a big British banker, said, buy when there's blood in the streets, even if it's your own blood. So anyway, there you have it. I like fear, to be honest. I like fear. I like to buy the fear. Try and hit one more before we go here. Oh, yeah. Part of the Coinbase. Coinbase did a commercial. It was just kind of like a big sing-along. And I don't know if that's on the Sphere. I think that was maybe on the Las Vegas Sphere, and it was projected, but either way, people, it's kind of like a karaoke song, the Backstreet Boys. Pretty well. I would say it wasn't too well received, and I think they spent like $37 million or something. I don't know if that helped crypto at all. I think the only crypto ad, and it kind of fell flat. So let me know what you guys think. I haven't really heard too much positive, but maybe some people liked it. Maybe it was effective. Let me know in the comments what you think. From what I've heard, not too greatly accepted, not people were that excited about it. So kind of weird for Backstreet Boys, kind of old school, kind of, not, I don't know. I wouldn't say not mainstream, but the demographic, that's great. Windows open up. But we'll refresh this new site. Their site's very slow too. But anyway, now we're open. We're down 0.38 on the NASDAQ. Looking over here on the Dow, we're down 0.17. S&P, we're down 0.2. Gold holding a little over 5,000. Crypto's doing here. Bitcoin, let's refresh it. Bitcoin 68,615. So, is what it is. Nothing great, nothing bad, just kind of neutral. We're still down 3.7% for the day, but 0.6 off the lows right before. But nothing super exciting. Ethereum, $2,016, down 5% for the day. 1% for the hour. Still way low. Everything's on sale, man. things on sale. You really can't go wrong if you go buy blue chips or buy quality. If you have money, it's probably, and not to say we're at the lowest. I don't want anyone to, I would say to everybody, whether you're new here or old here, you're never really gonna always pick the top, and you're never gonna pick the bottom, right? That's why I always suggest DCA, dollar cost averaging. I would probably, let's say I was sitting completely on the sideline. Of course, not the dip the other day. Let's say I was completely on the sidelines. I thought Bitcoin was going to go lower. I probably would have deployed at least 30%, 30, 40%. But I'm a little more aggressive, right? I don't like being on the sidelines. I'd rather ride out the dips and whatever because I'm very confident they'll come back. And I sold Bitcoin under $200. I panicked, sold one other time. I sold Ethereum at like 620, and next day it went up. Next day or two, it was up to 1,1300. So I'm one that doesn't mind my portfolio going upside down, but you probably should have deployed at least 20%. And we may go lower. Like I say, we don't know. We kind of break it down here every day, and I can tell you long term, I believe we're going to $1 million, but short term, it's kind of hard to know. And sometimes it's easier to know than others. But right now, we're breaking down the news. There's a lot of tailwinds. I'd say there's never been a better time to be in crypto. But like specifically, where are we going to go this week? We're going to go lower? Maybe. It all kind of depends on how things handle. We had that great $10,000 candle. We held a lot of it. Do we slowly bleed out? Both, bottoms and tops, especially bottoms need time to kind of settle in, right? Kind of like settling earth, compacting earth when you're building a skyscraper or something like that. So GM, everyone, those just listening or those who don't know me, Crypto Boron. I've been in crypto, Bitcoin, 15 years, full-time for 10 years. Here trying to break down kind of where we're going. Try and give you some ideas. Always do your own research because I'm not a financial advisor and it's your money. And you should be careful about anyone you listen to on the internet or just in general, no matter how successful or how much you believe what they say. Everyone's got different risk tolerances. Everyone's got different agendas, all that kind of stuff. Really, you need to do your own research. Hopefully, I'm trying to condense some of the material in to an hour or less, 40 minutes. So you listen to it, you can kind of know what's going on for the year or for the day, rather. Most of what's happened when you've been sleeping over the night. That's our goal here on the GM opening bell. Yeah, let's look at XRP. XRP is down 3%, up 1%. So doing a little better. 147, man. Got all the way down to, that was crazy. Look, I like XRP. I'm going to good and are crazy. Doing a lot of things, diversifying, very popular stock, better than today. So shout out to the XRP army out there. One of the ones, the Binance chain, down 2.8%, 0.3. Once again, the yearly highs around, I think, 1,400. So well below 15% of it. So, and Solana, which is one of my biggest bags, but it's been really, chart hasn't been looking good. I'm not going to lie. 4 point for the day, flat for the hour. So we'll come back and keep an eye on it. See if we can kind of get back into the news. Yeah, I left it at the Super Bowl ad. I'm interested to see what everyone thinks. Like I say, I don't know. It seems weird, It's a lot of money to spend. I think they probably ought to go out and have people make. I'd go have people online, kind of like what Elon did, have people make their own videos. I think you'd probably get better stuff. But man, it just doesn't seem like much bang. I wish him well. We saw last week our Cardone $8 million airplane, Global 7500. Because you can get a decent private jet, used for $8, $10, $12 million, right? And then there's the G5, G6, G7s, the global 7,500, these things that are up there in the, close to 100 million cost. Probably, I'm going to guess these things cost around $15,000 to $18,000 an hour. But anyway, he famously put his jet up for sale to buy Bitcoin. And I appreciate Grant and his brother Gary, who I believe is twin brother, spent a lot of time with us on the spaces and crypto Twitter. I've been on a lot of spaces. Grant and I, or not Grant, but Gary and I follow each other. And, one of my business partners done a lot of stuff with Grant from when he was first getting started over the years. He's done well, and he's taken his money. A lot of when he raises money now for a real estate project, they take a portion of that and put it in Bitcoin. I think that's awesome. And he's really gets it right. But over the weekend, he said, look, he started talking, and he lives down on a beach house. The neighbors got their house up for $88 million. So he said he would list his for 700 Bitcoin, which I didn't do the math. I'm thinking without doing the mound, 50 million or 50, 60 million, right? And that would leave, because he feels, he said he doesn't get attached. He buys stuff. He's okay selling it. He'll probably buy another jet or maybe even 2 jets he's talked about. But yeah, kind of cool. He's going to, if he sells his house, leaving some meat on the bone. His wife's the broker, but someone could buy it if that house really sells. And, he could have all that Bitcoin. And he knows in 5 years, he'll buy 10 of these houses for that same price. So anyway, kind of cool when people lead by example. So we've got Saylor. If you're scared, I would just say we've got Saylor, just bought $90 million worth of Bitcoin. We got Grant Cardone selling his $88 million jet and his $50 million, $60 million house, which may actually be worth closer to $90 million to buy Bitcoin. So shout out to Grant and to Michael Saylor for that matter. Hal Finney. I don't know if you guys know about Hal Finney, one of the first guys, probably maybe even Ben Satoshi, worked closely with Satoshi, the first guy to ever receive a transaction from Satoshi and whatnot. Early kind of savant when it came to writing code and stuff. He would lock himself in a room for like a month or two or weeks and just bang out code, right? So we just thought it was funny saying here that back in 2010 when Bitcoin was $1, Hal Finney predicted it to be $1 million. And I've been saying $1 million forever. I've actually been saying it's going to flip gold for 10 plus years. And my thesis was that digital gold, for a lot of various reasons, and it's more scarce, that it would flip gold. At the time when I used to say it was around 480,000. That's before gold went on its crazy run, which it would now be closer to $2 million Bitcoin. But yeah, shout out to Al Finney, who passed away from cancer. Tragically, one of the early OGs, true OGs of Bitcoin, worked right with Satoshi himself, might even have been Satoshi or part of Satoshi, if you believe Satoshi is a group. But he was predicting it way back when it was $1, man. That's crazy. Okay, our guy Davis, born in America. I knew him from now lives in Dubai for the tax benefits with his family, but posted this. Alliance Bernstein doubles down on their $150,000 Bitcoin price target for 2026, calling the recent dip the weakest bear case in history. What do you think? So, that's what I'm saying, that the tailwinds between the governments, states, sovereign wealth funds, institutional funds and things, family offices buying it, companies buying it, both huge companies buying huge amounts like what Saylor and Tom Lee are doing, and also just little companies like Steak and Shake, keeping all the Bitcoin that people buy, paying their employees in Bitcoin, right? They were at the Bitcoin conference in Vegas. So you have to be bullish long term. I mean, honestly, but and you just have to kind of look at that. And for me, of course, I've been here 15 years. I'm nearly 100% allocated to crypto. I'm fine with it. I'm not shaking a bit. I was able to buy, wasn't a lot, but like 0.1 Bitcoin for my wife with some of the stuff she's bringing around. It was yeah, to drastic things as well if we stay down here. But yeah, I'm bullish. I don't know. I'm bullish. I don't get shaken out. I've done it once. I sold Bitcoin below $200. Won't do that again. Sold, stuff early. This, but speaking of like the idiots, here's the Financial Times, right? Good morning, Asia. While you were sleeping, one of our most read articles was this opinion piece about Bitcoin's worst crash since 2022. Ever since its creation, Bitcoin has been a journey that will end six plotted on the ground, writes Jemiah Kelly. I mean, first off, these guys are notorious for calling the death of Bitcoin. Back in the day, back before we kind of knew it was going to happen and before we had institutionals, countries buying it and institutions buying it and Wall Street buying it, there was actually a website that tracked how many times Bitcoin had been declared dead. So more FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, fear, uncertainty, and doubt is just what we call just fake news, basically. So here's Financial Times. I think this is at least the sixth or eighth time they've called for it, going way back to when Bitcoin was in the single thousands of dollars. So anyway, it's out there and it scares people. Bitcoin is not going away. No asset that's reached $2 trillion is ever in the history of the world gone out. It doesn't mean it couldn't happen, right? But the reality is it's just getting stronger. It's just getting stronger. We mentioned earlier the odds of a Fed rate cut down below 20%. Now, look, I think this might last. This is, I can't remember if there's an April one. There are most months, but not every month. There won't be one in February. Of course, maybe it's the short 28-day months that 30-day months. I guess there's only one 28-day. But anyway, there is none in February, and we have it going here. But yeah, less than 20%. Now, that could change. That could change with the CPI. If CPI comes in good and shows inflation going down, that would make the Fed more likely to cut. If jobs are still struggling, the labor market's still struggling, employment is an issue, they could raise it. But keep in mind that Powell and Trump hate each other. Trump was very political when he cut the rate twice, trying to help Kamala win the election when it was probably uncalled for. And they're way behind. They're way behind, right? They're historically way behind. And it takes months and months for any of their policies to take effect anyway. So if you look at true inflation and stuff, it's way down below 2%. We know, people are laying off. Economy isn't good. So, but we get a new Fed chair already been announced. So that happens in May, I believe. So yeah, I'm not expecting some, but these numbers could change. But once again, sometimes when you're going to get a rate cut, it's huge news. You're hanging on every minute. We're watching the meeting. We're live streaming it. We're commenting on it. Probably not the case for the next several. Pavel Durov, I believe he's the founder of, what is it? The Ton blockchain. So what is it? Telegram, right? He famously has been buying Bitcoin for years and years. The government keeps printing money like no tomorrow. Nobody is printing Bitcoin. And you really have to, if you get scared or you start to wonder, is Bitcoin going away? Really look at the fundamentals and have they changed? Why did Hal Finney, Satoshi Nakamoto, these early guys, why were they because they knew that, we were getting debased. The governments will never quit printing money ever until their money goes away or they go away. And so everybody's printing money, M2 money supply, which Bitcoin typically tracks pretty well. I still think we'll play catch up with that, is at an all-time high. China, America's about to, everybody's printing money. Europe, Japan, everybody's printing money like there's no tomorrow. So I love that. Just, focus on that. Focus on that. No, nothing's changed. It's just gotten worse. our thesis for Bitcoin has just gotten better every day. Arthur Hayes, I like Arthur Hayes. I think he's one of the smartest guys. Comes from the TradFi world. Had BitMEX, the biggest perps exchange. Probably still be the biggest if he wasn't American and didn't have to pay a big fine and sell it. If he was a foreigner and wasn't, or foreign to America, he was kind of on the run for a while. But anyway, super smart guy in the space. He said a 70% Bitcoin crash is off the table. The 4-year cycle is dead. So yeah, he doesn't think we're seeing 25, 30, whatever. And I don't know what the bottom is. If you're going to ask me, I would say the 58, 59 is pretty probable. We revisit that again. And then, high 50s, that's kind of that puts you around the 200-week moving average, which is kind of a good place to start buying if you believe, even if you're a Bitcoin bear right now. But he doesn't believe we're going to see it. I think there's too much institutional buying. Look how fast that dip got bought out there. It doesn't mean we can't go lower, especially if we just slowly bleed out. But a lot of the people buying now are different. They're not retail investors, and they're buying for the long term and things like that. So I believe that the case just gets better. But anyway, 2 cents from Arthur Hayes, who's definitely someone I pay attention to. Illinois, state of Illinois, which if you know of Chicago, if you're not familiar with U.S. geography, Chicago is in Illinois, proposes budget-neutral community Bitcoin reserves. So we have 50 states and Puerto Rico, so potentially 51 states. I think probably 20 or so have actually filed or actually talked about, started legislation for Bitcoin reserves. I think only 2 or 3 have actually done it. I know Texas has pulled the trigger. I believe Arizona, and I think one other, right? And some of them are up to 10%. But anyway, Illinois, they're going to work on the legislation. Eventually, all 50 states own it. Eventually, every country owns it. Eventually, every company owns some, right? And everyone that can owns some. So, that's the thesis. So it's going to take some time. It's not overall. Hey, Bull Collector, GM. Hope you're doing well. Hope you can hear me okay. Earlier, the mic was glitching a little bit. I am going to go get a new cord, and I do have it closer to my mouth, as you can see here, close as I can. But Bull Collector, long time OG friend here on crypto Twitter, and also been coming to my participates in the GM Bitcoin Morning Show, which is coming on 4 years now. So, but anyway, we're going on 3 weeks of these. Hopefully, if you're new or old or whatever, you can. Like I say, our goal is just to kind of condense everything that's happened and kind of comment on it and kind of help. Oh, good, loud and clear. Thank you. Well, thank you earlier, Armand Aguilar, for letting me know, because I was able to push the thing in a little closer and bring it a little bit closer. So I'm glad I was able to fix that. I still think I'll get a new cord and make sure that the mic is as close as I can to my mouth. So GM Bull Collector. By the way, that GM Bitcoin Morning Show, that's only on X, and of course my name at Crypto Bull Ron. Same on all the platforms. I'm also over on TikTok these days, having a lot of fun over there, realizing their algorithm absolutely kills it. They are, bar none, to me, the best algorithm. I've already got I've only been on there 4 days. I already have 36 followers and thousands of impressions. So to me, they're the king, and I've heard that. But anyway, follow me over there too. Everything's at Crypto Bull Ron. Yeah, I get this from the One Wheelie King. There's nothing better than learning something every day, other than learning something relevant to the day at hand. Appreciate the daily alpha. Cool, man. Appreciate it. No, listen, that's it. Look, I've been around this game 15 years. I've been investing in the traditional market since I was 6 years old. I ran a public company. I took it public. I've helped several of my friends take companies public, but I don't know everything. I know a little bit about a lot of things, especially crypto. But hopefully I can give you my ideas, and you take that and learn from it, or do what you want with it, and maybe ignore it. That's up to you. But But if nothing else, like I said, our we hope to add a little alpha, a little education, but really just the fact that for my day job, I have to be up anyway at about 4 a.m, seeing what's going on with the markets. That's why I started the GM Bitcoin Morning Show. I was already doing it anyway, and so were my co-hosts. Hey, why not come on here and share and kind of condense it? I really hope that you can listen to this show and you can kind of have a good idea of what to look for that day. It's not going to explain everything, but appreciate it. And also good to see listeners from YouTube. I'm very new to YouTube as well, but hopefully we can get it out there. Listen, most of these big influencers on YouTube, I knew them when they had 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 followers. Now they have hundreds of thousands or million. George, Crypto Lark, Ivan on Tech, Crypto Banter. I've known a lot of these people since the early days, and I listen. I listen to a lot of their content, just for the same reason. What I'm trying to do here, and I do listen to a couple shows over the day, and I listen to probably while I'm working out, while I'm driving, while I'm doing other work. I probably listen to 8-10 hours. I'm here 16, 18 hours a day, right? So I'm consuming that content. Like I say, some of it's long-term wisdom, some of it's just simply here's what's happened. So appreciate everyone, and hopefully this can save you some time and make you more successful in this space. But Jim Cramer, this was crazy last Friday. He's like, oh, I heard that Trump's going to be start funding the Bitcoin strategic reserve if we hit $60,000. So get your buys in. So that was really interesting. I don't know who he's talking to. Quite interesting though. I know I do want to see Trump start buying Bitcoin, and I kind of hope he does it under the radar, right? At first, so it doesn't spike it too much. I want Bitcoin to go up like everyone does, but I see a window here of 6 months to a couple of years for us to stack more. So I'm actively working on that. Last but not least here, because I do got to jump over my show. This is from my buddy, the Martini guy. Same thing, knew this guy since day one. Good dude in the space. Once him originally from England, living in Dubai as well. $2.5 trillion banking giant Citibank predicts that Bitcoin is still going to 189,000. So I'm still going to predict all-time high this year. I think we get there, but whether we do or not, it's the greatest financial opportunity between Bitcoin, AI, and there's a lot of niches within there, a lot of niches we'll talk about, but I think I'm buying. I hope you are too. Whatever that is, I don't care if it's $10 a week or $1,000 a week. Just buy what you can buy, set it aside, and appreciate everyone. Feel free to follow me, jump over the other space if you'd like to. 59K to 69. Yeah, right there, the bull collector, 59 to 69. I'm buying anything under 100. The lower, the more aggressively. I'll just say that. And I already have, I've already been here for 15 years, so I already have probably enough crypto to never work again when we hit, if I hold it for the next few years. But listen, good luck. Appreciate it. Join me over on X if you want, as well as all the people I see. We got almost 100 people over there listening to me live. Jump on, join the GM Bitcoin Morning Show if you want. It's a space, so can't show pictures and stuff. We'll cover a lot of the same content, but I do have other co-hosts and stuff. Hey, happy Monday to you. I don't think it's going to be a super eventful week, but I've been proven wrong before. We'll see. I will be here tomorrow morning, and we'll see you there. Have a great week, and let's hope you have a good week in the